Hi everybody, Ali here from US Link System. Today we are going to walk through how to make an effective marketing campaign. We'll go from some theory and I'll show you some examples of how we do it. But to begin with, any marketing campaign has to start with the goals in mind. The campaign or your content strategy will be successful if you do not have a goal in mind. What exactly are you trying to reach? And this goal doesn't or shouldn't only live in your mind or somewhere in your ideal world, what you should get from it, but it should be written, it should be dissected, it should be analyzed. The way we approach goals here for any campaign, no matter whether that's a small company, big company, small campaign, big campaign, one ad or few ads within the same campaign, we always approach it through setting the goals for it. What exactly are we looking for to gain from it? Those goals have to be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely, right? So SMART goals. You heard about it before, but how do you add the SMART goals as part of your campaign, and why is it important? Because you probably heard about SMART goals within the business, goals within the KPIs. The SMART goals are important also when you design a successful marketing campaign. No matter where you write, you have to, the keyword here is to write. So you have to write the goals. So the goals could be written in any format that they come in your mind. I want to gain leads. If you only write, I want to gain leads, then if you run that through the SMART goals measurables, you will understand that this goal is not a SMART goal just because it's not specific. Just because if you want leads, it doesn't mean that you specify what kind of leads, right? Or how many leads, which is a measurable that you are missing. And then if you wrote the measurable, let's say I want 3,000 leads, when you now have 0, is it attainable? Is it possible to obtain 3,000 leads through a first marketing campaign? And then when you wrote 3,000 leads, to be specific, you need to write leads to sell, let's say you're in a financial industry, to sell financial valuations. Then is it relevant? Do you currently have the capability or capacity to receive and deliver those valuations, right? Do you have everything relevant about valuations in your website? Do you have a landing page about these valuations? Are you ready to sell valuations? And it has to be within a measurable time aspect. Just because you wrote, I want to generate 1,000 leads that sells financial valuations, what's missing to make it SMART is in what kind of time frame you want to generate those leads. Then to make it SMART, you would add a time measurable, like in 3 months. So again, my recommendation is write them down the way you think about them and then run them through the SMART chart. Literally create a table that has specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. Make a column here and write down what are those specifics for that goal. So this is step number 1. Step number 2 is to make sure that you attain those goals. You need to ensure you understand the audience. You need to understand who you're going to advertise that content to be able to attain those 1,000 leads. And this is not generated on the fly. This is not something you're going to think once the campaign is ready. This has to be thought through in the beginning of starting your content campaign or your social media campaign or a Google campaign, just because the emotion you trigger through your ad has to speak to that persona. And if you have spent so much time in putting it together, copywriting it, designing it, and they emotionally do not touch the personas you want to reach, you will never attain the result you want. For example, let's take a look at this chart here. This is the way, by the way, we are creating personas, not always with the images. You can disregard images if you want to. Some people put for images animals or vegetables or characters of some kind, not real people. Most important here is the criteria of this person, like this persona. So Iggy here He is an influencer, right? His age is 36 to 45. He's a male. He is married. He has bachelor degree. He is a freelancer. Obviously, we know it's his influencer. And his income is right here, right? And he had a career in the C-level. For you to make Iggy click on your campaign, you have to speak to Iggy through that content that you wrote. Assuming he is, not assuming, but knowing that he is 36 to 45, you may, and knowing what income he has, and knowing his marital status and what he's doing for life, you may trigger his interest by financial valuations for mergers and acquisitions, since he is a C-level. What I want to demonstrate here is there are ways to speak to the Iggy that may be different from the ways you would speak to Wendy, just because Wendy, unlike Iggy, she's younger, she's single, and she has an entry-level job. Again, to speak to Iggy, you probably want to, and again, I'm not sure whether financial valuations are for Iggy, but let's take our product. Let's say you are in skincare, right, and you sell a specific cream. To speak to Wendy, you really need to hit the emotional connection with Wendy. So what is that emotional connection? That is, looking radiant for your next date, since she's single, right? Cream that makes your face relax after a hard-working day. There is a lot of ways of speaking to Wendy that may again be different than, let's say here, speaking to Cecilia, because Cecilia, unlike Wendy, she's the same age, but she does have a senior level management job, and she is having a larger bracket of income. Perhaps she's going to look for a different type of language that speaks to her when it comes to cream, right? There is a lot of things to consider, and again, this is not something you are going to figure it out when you are going to plug in the campaign into your social media ad campaign or in Google. This is something that you would want to put in this format, the way you see it here, so you can mold the campaign and the text to the audience so it speaks and it emotionally triggers that click to the CTA. After you are done with your goal and after you are done with the personas, what you want to do is you also want to choose your channel of distribution of that content or campaign, right? Each social media has its own bracket of age and bracket of interest and the style of use. So you need to understand which platform is going to give you the best results for your goals, right? If your goal is brand awareness and not necessarily lead generation, then you go with one direction. If your goal is selling and selling more, then you'll go with a different direction, right? But whatever you choose, please ensure that you are choosing the channel of distribution appropriately. And I recommend for you to have a multi-channel distribution, just because, as I said before in multiple of our tutorials, a person likes to see you in multiple places before they are brave enough to click or incentivized enough to click that buy now button or click here for more button. So you really need to understand that the multi-channel is the way to go if you want to have a multiple touch points with your audience. And for that, you will need to have a very well managed timeline where you will understand that this is where I will run and how long I'll run this campaign in Facebook or in Google or in Instagram and so on. You have all of this theoretical done and nailed down. What you want to do now is to merge all of this knowledge base that you research and you have on your book into one place. So the way to do it is remember those goals that we wrote. Here they're more generic. Let's say you have 3 goals: awareness, decision, retention. Now those goals or major goals are divided in some sub goals or some more detailed approaches how to achieve the goals, or let's call them, let's say the distribution channel is social media, those will be your social media goals, or if the distribution channel is Google, then it will be Google goals, right? Now after you write them down, then you create the action. How are you obtaining those goals, right? Then you'll have here you can see campaign, content, monitor and engage, promote sales, monitor and support issues, nurture the relationships, right? All of these are deriving from those platform goals that you have. And then here, what you will do is you will write the names of people that you want to hit, which you will come back to your personas. So for the goals, you go to your SMART goals, right? For the specifics or breakdown of such goals, you take the analysis of the platform or the channel of distribution of your campaign. Let's say if it's social media or it's Instagram specific or it is Google specific, then you will break down those items. And then what you are going to do is you are going to put together a list of things you can do within that platform to attain each of these goals. And it doesn't need to be complex like that, because I would suggest if you just start, then you would have only one goal. Let's take the SMART goal that we discussed earlier. I want to generate 1,000 leads by selling or for financial valuation in the amount of 3 months, right? This would be your goal. Now, let's say our channel of distribution is Facebook and Instagram, right? What do I want through this channel to happen? So let's take 2 of those, because let's remove engagement and brand evangelism. Then we'll have only 2 sub goals, right? I want to grow my followership and I want to win sales, right? How am I going to win sales? I'm going to have a campaign or a promo sale, right? And how do I grow following? I'm going to support that campaign through content, right? And then I'm going to decide this campaign or this promo sale, who is going to be belong, who am I going to target? If it's one ad, I can choose one persona or a group of personas that have the same qualifications. If it's multiple ads that have different personas aligned to it, I will put a few names here, but in exact this manner, I need to have this in writing. After you are done with this, again, you can join our column and you can actually start ideating and writing the text and the captions and the ideas or a visual board of and how those images will speak to this persona and so on. So you can only start on the content if you already nail down all of this theoretical part. Okay. Now, most important, after you are done with that and you run the campaign, we talked about this so many times, don't disregard the data. You always have to look at the data, and not only at the end of the campaign. Let's talk about the campaign of financial valuations, for example, right? I cannot just add $1,000 a month and run it for 3 months and not look at that data, because things are happening. Some ads are disregarded because you didn't set correct targets or correct keywords within it, or they're banned for some kind of policy violation, or they're not getting enough tractions just because you did not set up a good bid. So you need to, as soon as you plug in that campaign, you have to monitor the heartbeat. You have to be there to understand how is it doing. And if you have an ad that just burns the money and does not bring any results, turn it off, leave the ones that are more effective. So again, measuring the results is something that you need to be ready, prepared, and capable of doing. If you are not measuring the result or looking at them, you are going to just burn your budget without that satisfaction at the end that you are going to bring that result. Okay. Now, all of this is perhaps easy for me to speak about just because I'm coming from this industry. We are doing this for many years for multiple clients, multiple industries. It may be less intuitive for you to do that, right? Or it's going to be challenging for you to put that puzzle together. For that, you always want to have an expert by your side. I will always say, if you are not understanding something, especially when it comes to spending money, right? If you go to play poker and at the table there is experts and you are the only one that doesn't know what to do, you don't need to bet. You know that you are going to lose the money just because you are surrounded by experts. Same thing in the world of ads, campaigns. You really need to have an expert that will guide you, teach you or do the campaign for you, or at least analyze the data or analyze your processes to guide you in the right direction. Because in today's competitive market, there is no platform that I can say is cheaper than the other one, but I know for sure that if the campaign is not done correctly, is the money down the drain from my experience. So I would suggest hire an expert for at least 1-2 campaigns and get it started. Learn from this process. The way US Link system is doing is we are engaging with our clients as if they are our partners, and we are always transparent down the line, and we are always using the opportunity of educating our client base with the results, measurables, or the way we are setting up the campaign. There is a lot of opportunities of learning and enjoyment during the process. So my recommendation is do engage with an expert, because down the line it's going to be saving you more than the price you're going to pay for running a campaign for you. This was Ali, and this was a tutorial on how to set up an efficient campaign. If you want to reach out to us for any kind of help, suggestions, or guidance, or our famous ads, running monthly campaigns, cost or package, go ahead and reach out. We're always here to support you and your business needs.